High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
a clash of styles, out in Setauket. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring.
From Warren King Field here in Garden City, Long Island, the Varsity Media Sports Network presents this Nassau Conference 2 showdown between the visiting Gladiators of New Hyde Park and the Trojans of Garden City, a matchup presented by Orland and Cohen. Good afternoon, everyone. Dylan Butler here with Mike Hungerford. It is week 8, Mike, so the regular season ends today. We find out playoff matchups, and then it's the second season. It's feeling like fall. I know you guys were out at Plain Edge last night, and you get that first real kind of true fall feel, right, where it's a little bit chilly at night. And now it's the fun is on, coming up soon. But first, obviously, this matchup here in week 8.
I say it all the time. Season goes very fast. 8 weeks. Can't afford too many slip-ups, but it just goes so quick. Days go by, and all of a sudden you're in week 2, 3, 4, 6, and here we are in week 8, and it just turned into that little bit of fall. We had a great fall weather-wise, Dylan. Here we are, a little bit of a fall feel, a little breeze, but definitely still really nice, and you can see that we're 1 week away from people getting in, 8 teams in the conference getting in and fighting for your life and playing to be together for one more week and eventually get handed a trophy that you have for the rest of your life. So pretty cool time of the year.
For the team across the way in white and blue, New Hyde Park, the Gladiators, there you see them. They are 5-2 on the season. They came in, Mike, as the number 7 seed, and they've had a really very, very good season. Probably the key to this for them is they've stayed healthy this year. Last year they got hit with some injuries. Obviously their numbers aren't bountiful, if you will, so when you have an injury, it kind of affects 3 phases of the game. But Colin Mayer, the head coach, has done a great job for the Gladiators, and they're coming off a 54-18 win over Sewanaka. And a few of the players that we'll talk about from that game are also their impact players. And it starts on offense with Aiden Garvey, had 6 carries for 162 yards and 2 TDs against Sewanaka. They are a team that likes to run the football, Mike, and he's going to be a big key to that. And really kind of on both sides of the ball, a top 100 Newsday player is Jake Rogers, a terrific two-way lineman for them. We show him here as a player to watch on the defensive side with 42 tackles and 6 sacks on the year. In that win against Sewanaka, 8 tackles and a sack as well.
42 tackles is a really good number for a defensive lineman in a 7-game high school season, and they're going to need him. They're going to need to run the ball. They're going to need to let the clock work a little bit for him and shorten the game a little bit. Get some keys to the game in a little while, but they're going to need him to do some serious work on the line against the Trojans.
The Trojans are 7-0 on the season, and they have a 25-game winning streak. They are very much a true program, Mike. We speak about teams versus programs a lot. They are a program. They are a juggernaut that just feeds itself year after year. Garden City is absolutely one of the top teams, not only in Nassau County, but also the entire state. We'll take a quick break for the anthem. We'll return with more pregame festivities right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out and to talk it. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
An anthem has been played, and the Trojans make their way on to the field. Here, as we mentioned before the break, Mike, 7-0 this year, a 25-game winning streak, which included a perfect season a year ago, 12-0. They beat MacArthur to win their 26th Nassau title, and then Bellport to win their 9th Long Island championship. It's a program that just feeds itself, and a couple of the key guys we'll speak about now for them are guys who had reserve roles a year ago, and now they are the guys, including Stevie Fennell, wearing that same number 21 we saw running the ball a year ago, and Jack Cascadden, the Thorpe Award winner a year ago, Stevie Fennell. His future is at lacrosse, just committed to Duke University, but you see the numbers there, very impressive. And a guy on the other side of the ball, really two-way lineman again, Sawyer Olson. He's been in the middle of everything for the last 3 years, a 3-year starter for the Trojans. You see his numbers there too, 26 tackles, 7 of them for losses, and 3 sacks on the season.
Sure, when you had the offensive players that Garden City had a year ago, Stevie Fennell, a little banged up at times, but he was kind of a secondary option at times. When you have Jack Cascadden, everyone else is a secondary option, I guess, running the football. And he's healthy right now. He's had an unbelievable season. He's a great athlete. And I know it's, he's just, every game seems to produce highlights and big plays on both sides of the ball.
I think one of the important things for Garden City this year is that Stevie Fennell and Cole Weber, who is the quarterback filling in for Luke Schmidt, they are both healthy. And they really haven't been that for the last couple of years, at least during the football season. There's some keys to this game, and for that, we bring in the third member of our broadcast team, John Perez.
Well, guys, New Hyde Park knows that they've got their hands filled today against a very good Garden City team that hasn't lost in what seems like a couple of years. But when we spoke to Coach Meyer earlier this week, he said that it's pretty simple. Just stick to the game plan, but don't get phased. They know that they're going to get Garden City's best punch and that they're going to have to continue to stay the course. Meanwhile, for the Trojans, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They feel that they just need to continue to capitalize on offense, be flexible on defense too, knowing that New Hyde Park has a few tricks up their sleeves. But if they do that, they will complete this perfect regular season. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, John. And yeah, Garden City, one thing that's interesting here, and we'll see it, Mike, this afternoon, is New Hyde Park will throw a lot of different looks at you offensively, right? A lot of different formations. They try to trick you a little bit. So that's one of the things that we heard from Dave Ettinger, the Garden City head coach in his 8th season out of Comac, 1993 grad, was we got to have recognition on defense, of course, execution on offense. And if he was to nitpick something, Mike, from this year, he says that his team has turned the ball over a lot more than maybe they have in the past. So limit the turnovers is important for Garden City in this matchup.
sure, turnovers are a huge part of football, and eventually you say to yourself as a coach, maybe we're surviving them sometimes, but eventually you may not survive it, right? It may be your undoing. And most of the time when you have turnovers, it's your doing. You're fumbling the ball. Very rarely is it so much the other team as it is your mistake. So certainly something that Coach Ettinger's, while they're 7-0 and they're rolling right along, there's always something to work on.
Of course.
There's always things to improve on. That's one of those areas they're looking to see progress here in the last week of the regular season.
So Garden City won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so the Trojans will kick the ball off to start this Week 8 Conference 2 showdown. Good-looking kick fielded inside the 5. And the return will mean that New Hyde Park and their quarterback, Vinny Alvarenga, will get things started outside the 20. Alvarenga, you see him there on the year, has thrown for 455 yards. Amazingly, his rushing stats are identical to his passing stats. The true definition of a dual threat quarterback is Vinny Alvarenga, the senior, a 3-year varsity player and 2-year starter for the Gladiators, a guy who head coach Colin Mayer, a 1985 graduate of St. Agnes, which is now Kellenberg High School, said, "We call him the fixer." So New Hyde Park starts at their own 23-yard line. It's a keeper for Alvarenga, and a good one at that. Alvarenga gets past the 40 for a first down.
Very tight formation there, and they bring a little motion. They run through the motion, try to storm the corner a little bit on the quarterback right there. Good looking start for New Hyde Park.
See it again. Good blocking, good recognition, right, too, by Alvarenga. Cut inside a couple of Garden City defenders, and a really good start for the Gladiators. 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. Alvarenga again, the keep, and this time he goes nowhere. Fennell pushes him back. Let's take a look at the starting offense for New Hyde Park. And we mentioned Alvarenga. You've got Garvey, Reyes as your running backs. The Riley twins, Kevin and Tom, wide receivers. Nick Rios at tight end. You've got Kalink, Shee, Yown, Oliva, and Rogers up front. Forward progress gave Alvarenga a yard on that, so it is 2nd and 9 from the 44. Another man in motion. He gets it on the sweep. Nice turn of the corner. That's Tom Riley with the run. And we'll take a look now at the defense for Garden City. And a lot of familiar names here as well. Malahi, Olson, Cruciello, Blum, and Fennell up front. Your linebackers are Yehoda, Bacafola. Your corners are Liberopoulos and Berkery. And your safeties, Archer and Vortruba. Another first down play for New Hyde Park. They are now at the Garden City 45. Another keep. And a good job tackling. That time, Alvarenga only got a couple.
I think Alvarenga bounced that a little bit, in my mind, maybe a little too early. Staying behind those blockers. They're actually getting some really good push up front on that right side. With 54, Oliva and Rogers, we said in the pregame how talented he is, how much of a key he is, and their right team do tend to be running right, even though it's into the boundary right now, and they only had one player that left, it looks like, so far. So we've also given a variety of formations here so far, like you talked about earlier.
2nd and 8. And the Gladiators will talk it over. We'll stay right here as we could speak a little bit more about New Hyde Park and their season. There's a good look at their huddle. Colin Mayer, their head coach. What a career he's had in football, too. Mike, we mentioned he went to Maria Regina, but at the time, his senior year, it was St. Agnes, so it's now known as Kellenberg. He played for Pat Kerwin, who's now, of course, like the NFL insider. His brother Mark, who's about 2 booths over from us, a long-time assistant coach at St. Anthony's, was his assistant coach when he was playing football at the school now known as Kellenberg. Colin Mayer coached at Ardsley for 10 years. When he started, he had about 28 guys on varsity. He joked with his brother. His brother said, well, I've got 29 defensive backs at St. Anthony's. So it spoke about sort of how much he had to build at Ardsley, and what he did with the help of his assistants was turn Ardsley into one of the best teams in Section 1 Class B. And that's the reclamation project, a little bit what we're trying to do here at New Hyde Park as well, here in his 7th season.
Sure, doing a great job this year at New Hyde Park, and you can see that they're a way different club than they've been in past seasons.
Unfortunately for Mayer, there is no town youth football team, so the recruitment, as we'll detail later in the game, has to be creative. Hand off. This is Garvey. Pushes through. Good job by Garvey just staying up. He absorbed about 3 or 4 tackles, but doesn't get much. He's taken down at the 41.
I think one of the keys for the Garden City defense is you got to have your eyes in the right places. They're going to motion a man across the formation one way. They're trying to get the defensive guys, looking, leaning the wrong way, and then they bring pulling linemen back to go the other way. Defend your half of the field, defend your half, and get your eyes in the right places, and you'll be okay. It's when you start looking around and start getting a little bit off track, off your keys, when you could be in trouble, Garden City defensively.
They give Garvey 2 on the play, so 3rd and 7 now for New Hyde Park. Got 3 receivers at the top of your screen, 1 at the bottom, and another timeout having to be burned here by the Gladiators. That's 2 already in the first few moments.
Well, timeouts, I look at the timeout thing as having so much value, Dylan. Like before they called timeout, and I don't know what the play they were going to run or what was going to happen, but if the play clock expired and they lost 5 yards, they're at 3rd and 7 right now. So, is the timeout worth for 5 yards so early in the game? It's something I can't measure to what they want to get accomplished on the other sideline, but have to be very careful. They're down to 1 left for the whole half now.
Let's take a look at the schedule this year for New Hyde Park, and it started with a 14-point loss at Southside, and then you bounce back against Roslyn Friends, Elmont, the loss to Mepham, and now 3 straight wins coming into this one against Herricks, Belmore, JFK, and Sewanaka. Again, they're the 7th seed. So for those not in the know, obviously it's an imbalanced schedule as opposed to, let's say, the top-seeded Trojans. But listen, they're 5-2. A year ago, they were 5-4. They picked up a huge win a year ago, beating Cary. It was for the first time in 22 years they beat Cary, but then they got some injuries late. That Cary win was their 3rd in a row. Then they lost their last 3 after getting banged up. Here's 3rd and 7 after the timeout. Alvarenga bobbles the snap, and look out. A host of Trojans come after him with Fennell, the one to take him down at the 49-yard line.
Yeah, like I said previously, tough to use a timeout right there, and then all of a sudden lose 6-7 yards. I'd rather run the play and keep the timeout at this point.
I love how Garden City just swarms. Like, they just smell blood, and look how many different guys Alvarenga is trying to. There was a possibility of maybe trying to find Garvey at the bottom of your screen to throw the ball, but he was under such pressure.
I think the rush came quick there. I think what was happening was they were trying to set up a screen, possibly a middle screen, and when he didn't handle the snap properly, they kind of fouled that up a little bit. But they did get a couple first downs, so now after the kickoff return and a couple first downs, they can maybe flip the field here and pin Garden City back deep.
Yeah, it's Andrew Notine who will be back to punt for New Hyde Park. High snap, fielded well, and he gets off a pretty good one. Oh, and the potential returner being Archer slipped on the turf, which allowed the ball to bounce. So Garden City will come out on the field, and they're going to be led there by their quarterback, Cole Weber. Weber, another terrific lacrosse player in the spring, bound for Virginia. But you see his numbers here. Again, he's a guy who spells a guy who was Luke Schmidt, a 3-year starter. But Weber's done a really good job. 684 yards, 13 touchdowns, has rushed for 129 a score as well. That prototypical, right, 6'2", 180. I love that kind of a size in your quarterback.
I don't know. He seems a little big on that when you get near him. He's a pretty big guy,
Yes, he is.
And very talented athlete, has battled some health issues, and you can see that being committed to Virginia for lacrosse shows the top teams in the country. They think a lot of him.
So Weber starts out under center, flips it to Fennell, has to bounce it back the other way. Weber is now working as a blocker, and a great job by the New Hyde Park defense there, just kind of recognizing and maintaining. Let's take a look at the Garden City offensive starters. We mentioned Fennell and Weber. Blake Cascadden, the younger brother of Jack Cascadden, along with Archer, Vortruba, and Berkery are your wide receivers. Up front, it's Olson, Holtzman, Blum, Cruciello, and O'Neill. At times when they go to tight ends, you'll see Malahi and Carroll come in. So a gain of 1 on that play, 2nd and 9 for Garden City. They motion Archer to the right. Toss to Fennell, and again the defense stands up. The Gladiators come pushing, and it's a loss of about 3. Let's meet those rugged defenders for New Hyde Park now. Up front, you've got Rios, Rogers, Tondreau, and Oliva. Your linebacking core of Massey, Reyes, and Riley. At your corners are LaSala and Sukan, and Kevin Riley and Aiden Garvey are your safeties. 3rd and 12 from the Garden City 16. High snap. Weber backs up, looks downfield, and this is going to be a pass interference penalty. There is no doubt about it. That was textbook. So now you'll actually move the chain. So everything that you do really well for New Hyde Park is kind of done away with that penalty.
Well, that's going to be a 15-yard pass interference penalty, but it's not a spot foul like it is in other levels of football. So they'll mark 15 off. Look at the players; they're all walking like they see too much football on TV. In high school, it's not a spot foul. And actually, if you're going to get beat deep, you don't give up a touchdown. It's not a bad play in high school, giving up 15 as opposed to 6 points. But Garden City went there, 2 backs, Max protected with both backs, and took a shot to Vitruba. I believe that was the receiver they were trying to get to, Audrey Vitruba, and who was pretty much a regular last year. We saw a lot of him a year ago. Is certainly one of Garden City's better players.
Yeah, he's a Middlebury football commit. One of at least two guys on this team who will go on and play collegiate football. A lot of other lacrosse guys we'll talk about as well during this broadcast. So fresh set of downs. And you just kind of sense, too, as that's about a gain of 7 or 8 on that play, that it looks like that was Vortuba to do so, how much maybe that penalty deflated New Hyde Park, right? They did so much well on those first couple of plays, and it's a 3rd and long. And then you give up the penalty, and now a gain of 7, so it's 2nd and 3.
Yeah, you can't live on the roller coaster if you're New Hyde Park. They're going to have those plays. Garden City's going to make plays. You don't get to be 7-0 and not make plays. You just can't give them the big ones. Got to play down by down and make them earn it.
Weber to pass, finds an intended target, and there is Vortuba again. And I think, Mike, in back-to-back plays, we see what we've known about Vortuba, and what makes him so impressive is his versatility. You see the same from Vortuba as you see from Fennell and Archer. They're all kind of interchangeable guys, which makes it so much better for Ettinger and his offense.
Sure, just throwing a quick hitch here, sitting 2 guys down. He takes your pick of the open guy, the open receiver. The slot's open, throw it to him. Let him run around and let him catch it and run around with it.
They could all run the football. They could all catch the ball as well. Archer's a guy that could even use for a couple plays at quarterback. So 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. There goes Fennell, trips forward. They might give him the 45. No, they'll give him the 44-yard line. But Stevie Fennell, a guy who, it's funny, I almost wondered, considering that it was Cascadden for the last few years, and now Fennell, I asked Ettinger, was 21 like a special number? He said, no, it was just Cascadden wore it. It was Fennell's number as he grew up. Obviously, he's not going to go take it from Cascadden, so he just waited his turn. Now he's wearing it, but of course, because of so much success that Cascadden had, there's kind of a responsibility to wear the number 21 for Garden City.
Interesting how those things develop over time, right? It's pretty cool. Kids think a lot about those things. I think more than the adults give them credit for.
Archer in motion again. And look at that. The motion and the little hesitation in motion there, too, forced New Hyde Park to go offside, so we'll push Garden City up 5 yards.
all the teams we've seen, Dylan, this season, I saw Plain Edge last night, Farmingdale earlier, and Garden City now. I think the 3 top teams in the county in
Correct.
the public schools. They all have the same kind of skill guys that are very interchangeable and can do a lot of different things. That's what makes them so dangerous offensively.
And a lot of multiple sport guys at that as well, right? Weber, nice completion out toward midfield, and the receiver was Archer, a guy who, as a sophomore, was a starter at wide receiver. Incredible story here, too. That year, suffered a knee injury. And if you remember, too, the sophomore season was the spring season, that COVID-shortened spring football season. He remarkably rehabbed and got back in time for the second half of last football season. And now he's back again as a starter on both sides of the football.
I'm a huge Jack Archer fan. I think he was great in lacrosse from last year. They made the run to be state champions, and he's a good athlete, and he can do a lot of things. I think he's got a very good sports IQ in the sports he plays in football and lacrosse. And to be a sophomore getting a lot of playing time at Garden City says a lot. They play with mostly an older lineup most years of seniors and then some juniors this year. I think only Blake Cascadden might be one of their only younger guys that's really listed as a starter.
Berkery is as well.
Yep.
But he is playing his first game on offense because of the injury. We haven't spoke about it yet to Aiden Considine. So Considine's a guy who normally would be a starter, the junior, another dual threat guy with 105 yards receiving and 60 yards rushing. Little sweep there, and again, I'm really impressed early on by the size and the physicality up front for New Hyde Park. And their head coach, Colin Mayer, said, listen, when you speak about the strength of our team, it is there. It is on the line. And there's had to be a buy-in, a year-round commitment to the weight room, which these guys now have. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that labor.
Well, you can see there they went motion, they went jet motion, and they came downhill on it very hard. They're playing like a cover 2 shell, and with the 2 safeties, and if they can take the running away, they'll be able to stay in that shell and be able to play the pass. Screen.
37, look out. Archer makes the catch, but he is pushed backwards. A really good-looking tackle by Kevin Riley, one of the Riley twins on this team, and the pressure came, and then Riley came up with the secondary part of that. 33 tackles out of the safety position for number 3.
With the throw that screen to one of the backs out of the backfield, try to fake it, make it look like it might go right with Fidel and throw it left. And the New Hyde Park defense was kind of having none of it.
4th and 6. High snap, and the ball will be punted down the field. Nobody there, so an opportunity here to really force New Hyde Park into some deep field position, which is exactly what the Trojans have done with Cascadden getting the job. So it'll be down to the 2-yard line.
Something you don't see too often, Dylan. That's called a quick kick right there. Or punting out of an offensive formation, and a lot of people will quick kick on 3rd down if they're deep in their own territory, but on 4th down, look like you're going to run a play and you kick it, and now you've got New Hyde Park on their literally 1-foot line. Great special teams play right there by Garden City. I think a really smart decision right there by Coach Ettinger.
So New Hyde Park, this snap here by Yowen has to be good, man. You cannot force a high snap because obviously if it goes over the outside of the back of the end zone, it'll be a safety. So a game of field position, and which means that New Hyde Park will start this possession from their own 2-yard line. You see on the bottom of your screen, 1:50 left in a fast-moving first quarter.
Just have to get your offensive players out of the end zone on the first play if you can.
Little cadence by Alvarenga. Takes it himself, and he's taken down for a safety. And I think, was that Olsen to do so?
I believe it was Olsen. They went with a little hard cadence to try to draw them off. And Olsen just takes an inside charge. He comes across the face of the guard, of the backside guard. He can't cut him off. And I don't know if that was designed by Coach Fennell, the defensive coordinator, to slant everyone across there towards the offense is right there left. But if it was a great call. And if Olsen saw it on his own and went ahead and did it, a great individual play, and creates a safety not seen too often.
It's funny, you look a couple of years ago, and the notes from Dave Ettinger was of Olsen, as a sophomore, was a guy who was getting pushed around and knocked back by some of those really big dudes they had at MacArthur, right? Now he's the guy 2 years later pushing guys around, 6'2", 215. Ettinger said, look, he could be a fullback, a tight end, an H-back. He's one of the more physical kids, but at Garden City, he's a lineman. And great ACT score as well, 36 there, a high average. He's likely he's the other football commit, or at least the guy who will commit and play collegiate football, probably at one of those like MITs and those high academics that, they don't quite yet have that guaranteed admission spot. So he's going to have to wait his time there, but Sawyer Olsen, a terrific player. We showed him as a player to watch defensively for Garden City, 3-year starter, and he's put the Trojans on the scoreboard.
I think, it's unfortunate for New Hyde Park to give the safety up, but the longer the game can go and your score is close, the more it gives your kids a little confidence they can play with Garden City right now, right? So now they're going to kick it here off the safety kick.
And a little bit of a pooch. Ooh, nearly fumbled. It was recovered, though, by Brian Bacafola. Let's take a look at the standings in Nassau Conference 2, Mike, while we have an opportunity. See the PowerPoints to your right. Garden City, obviously, right? 7-0. Mepham right behind them. So should Garden City lose here today, Mepham win, you could, especially considering the opponent, that could hurt them. But we expect them to be the 1 seed, obviously. And you could see New Hyde Park as well as a 5 seed. I think they're pretty secure there as well. Elmont is enough PowerPoints, I think, behind them where they should be okay here today as the 5 seed. But Mepham, Long Beach right there as well. Long Beach has been impressive this year. They gave Garden City really their tightest game. Week 1, 21-14 win for the Trojans. 1st and 10 from the Gladiator 40. And here comes Fennell. Gets a few blockers. Fennell in the end zone. Touchdown, Garden City.
Tale of two different teams right there. Just what Garden City wanted to have happen off the safety kick. And if you knew Hyde Park, not a good result right there. But great run by Fennell, untouched. Cuts that back a little bit. Finds daylight to the left. And his good speed does the rest.
We mentioned at the beginning, Fennell just like this week committing to Duke lacrosse. So congratulations to the Fennell family. The PAT by Hayden Menudo is good. So,
Dylan, if we go back to the standings for a second,
we can do that.
Take a look at that. I find interesting is, maybe a little changing of the Garden Conference too, or a little change of things, because you see that MacArthur and Elmont, two of the more traditional teams in the conference, are not having as good a year they've had in past years. MacArthur, I think, is a little bit 2-5. It's very rare for them to be 2-5. Cary moved down to Conference 3, which is given an opportunity. Mepham is very good with a very good quarterback, and Novello a quarterback, and have a good team. And you have Long Beach is up this year, certainly when they've been. Southside comes from 3 to 2 this year, and they're right in the mix.
Cary flips with them, so they're
Cary flips, and you see a little changing. A little changing. Maybe it's a 1-year thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll see. Only time can tell. But interesting, different names, and it's good to see other teams other than just obviously Garden City's always going to be there.
I was going to say the one consistent in that is number 1 Garden City.
Absolutely, and I just think an advantage teams like Garden City have is when kids ride the bus to come over to Garden City. Do they really think they're going to win? Do they hope they're going to win? Do they say we can get them today? Or they're like, well, if everything goes our way, and then the Garden City guys just come out and they methodically, don't hurt themselves, don't make mistakes, and now I think you're at the moment with a touchback here that the New Hyde Park guys need to do something good offensively to keep the kids believing that they can hang in there.
Well, Garden City's win streak is 25 and counting. And where does that stand? Here, take a look here, Mike. You see Southside, and that was with some draws as well in that, right? From the 44 season to 50, then Garden City, that great run that was snapped by MacArthur here during the regular season. That was a 42-game winning streak. You see Hempstead there at 34, those great Howie Vogt Bethpage teams as well, right? 32 for them. Freeport, 31. Garden City again, 1990 to 92. And you see the current team, 25 and counting. So they go up here. They win here today. They're within one of those great Bethpage teams under Howie Vogt. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line.
Sure, with some great teams. And you look at those kind of records. Some of those teams had the same players playing multiple years.
Yeah.
Some of them had teams, guys leave and new guys came and just kept on winning. Hempstead teams in there, coached by Buddy Krumanack, who's the former Dell coach now. They had a bit of a change of guys every year, and they just kept winning and kept pounding out victories. And the Garden City guys kind of do the same a little bit, and interesting dynamic.
I think you brought up a great point in last night's Plain Edge Manhasset game, as there's a handoff. Cutting the corner on the sweep is Riley. But you made a great point in the Plain Edge game last night where, when you're a Plain Edge or you're a Garden City and you play in so many lopsided games that the guys who are quote-unquote first-year starters this year already have so many reps, right? So, you look at literally when we spoke to Ettinger, he said, well, this guy's our second offense. This guy, they've got full second offenses and second defenses, and a lot of these guys on Garden City's first offense are already seasoned. They've got a couple of years of getting a lot of reps in second halves of games. Final 17 seconds, they try to push forward to move the chains, and a good job by New Hyde Park. They do just that.
Yeah, and also a thing that happens is, there's more snaps in a high school football game than there's ever been before. You go back in the 70s and, everybody ran the ball, not a lot of passing, games were short, right? In high school games now, there's a lot more passing, balls out of bounds, incomplete passes. Games are going to be longer with more snaps. So now the better you are, or conversely, the more you struggle, the more your better players have to play down after down. The better you are, the more you can get guys out of games and rest them a little bit and keep them healthy.
End of one here from Warren King Field. It is Garden City with a 9-0 lead. You're watching this Nassau Conference 2 Showdown, presented by Orland & Cohen and the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Welcome back to Warren King Field. A beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Garden City, and the Trojans with a 9-0 lead after the first quarter. Let's send it to our third member of our broadcast team, John Perez.
Well, guys, this is Colin Mayer's 7th year at New Hyde Park, and when he took over, you have to remember that he did a fantastic job rebuilding Ardsley up in Section 1 Class B, and when he came over to New Hyde Park, he had some things at New Hyde Park that he did not have at Ardsley, and vice versa, including a youth football team. There was no youth football team on New Hyde Park when he took the job, so that just meant that he had to go out and get athletes on his team. But what does that mean? Doing lunchroom duty, which none of the coaches, quite frankly, like to do. But he said that it was that lunchroom duty where he was able to recruit different athletes from different teams, and the message to them was, I understand you're not a natural football player, but it's all about learning camaraderie and a fraternity and how important sports are to you. So it doesn't matter how good you are on the football field, he says. I still love you, but I need you on the football team because we need bodies too at the end of the day. And he certainly got that at New Hyde Park. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, John. Listen, by any means necessary, right, to get those players in. If it means you're in the lunchroom looking at the line, hey, you're a pretty good size. You ever think about playing football? However you can get your guys. Alvarenga, terrific looking pass, and the great recognition as well by the receiver as they get a first down. That's Nick Rios.
They're an empty right there, 3x2. And just, Alvarenga looks and sees where the coverage is a little bit, which DB is a little bit off. A great route by the receiver. He's a little bit short, but he comes up and is able to just get enough. I think maybe he wants to push that route just a tiny little bit more, but you can see that there. Coverage was a little off there. He took advantage of it and gets a very important first down for New Hyde Park.
Rios, a guy who was injured for 2 years, big, strong kid at 6'2", 225. Really good lacrosse and basketball player as well. Man in motion, they fake the sweep. It's pushed forward, and that was Garvey to get out to about the 47.
Good looking play right there by New Hyde Park on first down. And when you're playing against a defense like Garden City, it's traditionally very tough to move the ball on, and very well coached. If you can get a good play on first down, put yourself in a good situation, you kind of can break your tendencies a little bit, right? Are we going to run? Are we going to pass? And kind of get ahead of the defense a little bit.
2nd and 5 from the 47-yard line. Ooh, low snap. Alvarenga, and again, under a lot of duress, pushed back to about his own 45. So it's the second time that we've seen something blow up for New Hyde Park, and they weren't able to stop the bleeding a little bit there, where it ended up being even worse.
Yeah, low snap, and there's the defense right there, right? Swarming to the football and gonna make that play.
Archer, the first to the ball. You see Bacafola come in as well.
If you're New Hyde Park, though, you can't be. It's tough to be second and 5 and have two good shots at it to get a first down, and then lose 8.5. And those are the plays that are gonna be drive killers. It's like a penalty almost.
And really, when we saw that too, you were wondering, like, could Alvarenga have got rid of it? But there was no receiver even over there, and that might have actually made things a little bit worse. Another completion for Alvarenga. This one to Thomas Riley.
Try to throw a little of the screen, quick screen look right there, and not successful. The Garden City players got off the block, and they couldn't get them blocked correctly. And so a good series for the Garden City defense to get off the field, 1 first down. And if you're New Hyde Park, you can't have those plays, those negative plays. It's not going to help. You're not going to be able to get it done today with plays like that.
Berkery and Cascadin are deep for the Trojans, as it'll be another punt here for Notine. He's that guy who will probably be a QB or a skill player going forward. He's only a sophomore, Andrew Notine. Good looking punt. Look at that one. Oh my goodness. It bounces all the way back inside the 5, which is where Berkery fielded it, and he's tracked down. He does get back to the 20, but a terrific punt by Andrew Notine.
I was at a JV game. I was at a JV game this morning, and I mentioned watching the JV game this morning. I mentioned to another person there watching the game, a coach, who said, the hardest job in a high school or JV football game is catching a punt, because they come out all different ways, right? Like some of them look really good. You go to an NFL or a major college game, the punts are like they're way up in the air, right, but they turn over, they have spiral. These balls come out all different ways. That was a great kick, and I think it surprised them a little bit. The power and the spin of the ball, but a good job getting on it and getting it back to a 20.
I mean, certainly two things that New Hyde Park are doing well, right? Is they're eating clock on their possessions, and they're forcing Garden City into difficult field position. Toss goes to the backfield, and looks like that is Fennell again.
When they're playing with two safeties like that are at maybe 10 yards, and they're a little wider in the box, you're going to have to try to run the football against it, as Coach Ettinger is doing right now, and making it not so easy to throw the football. So with the wider box, look like they're in an odd front right now, a 3-man line. You got to try to get that ball running a little bit if you're Garden City, and when you're playing Garden City, right? What do you do if you're the other team? Do you be true to who you are? Do you try to change things up? Do you try to mix it up, confuse them? Tough calls for a defensive coordinator against Garden City.
Gain of 7, so 2nd and 3, and Fennell's got a couple buddies next to him here. It's Archer to his right, and Fennell. It goes to Archer. Beats the first level and gets taken down at about the 37 or 36-yard line, but that's good enough to move the chains for Garden City. It is remarkable, Mike, when you consider the players that you lose a year ago, as we take another look at Archer's run. You had a quarterback in Luke Schmidt who really was a 3-year starter. I mean, he started like the most important games of his sophomore season, the win over MacArthur at Hofstra, and then the Long Island Championship loss to Lindenhurst. Then you had Brendan Staub. He was the Martone Award winner. You had Jack Cascadden, who was the Thorpe Award winner as the best overall player in Nassau. The Martone goes to your top lineman. And that grouping, those 3 guys, when they were in the starting lineup together, they were 19-1. Ettinger said it's ridiculous that the 3 guys were all in the same graduating class. But obviously you don't you reload here at Garden City.
Sure, those 2 guys, Staub and Cascadden, will go down. If you were to make an all-time Garden City team, I think they find the spot for those 2 guys on the all-time Garden City team. And so you're not going to replace. You're not going to look and pass out the Fennell. You're not going to replace those guys per se. Obviously, someone's going to play in those spots, right? But you're not going to replace them. You're just going to move on, but that's the beauty of Garden City's success is most schools, if you lose 2 guys with that ability, it's hard to be 7-0 again.
Yeah, you're dipping down in the JV. Guys don't have experience, but again, that's what we spoke about. Now, the one negative for Garden City is that Weber and Fennell are the 2 guys who kind of come in, especially to replace guys like that. They've been banged up previously, so they don't have maybe as many reps as Ettinger would have hoped to have had. But here's Weber under some pressure, and he finds Fennell again, and he is such a tough guy to take down, man. 6'2", 195 is what Stevie Fennell is listed at.
Good job there by Weber to get rid of the ball. It's going to be about to be a sack. He got some quick pressure up the field. On that quarter roll, he was able to get the ball to Fennell. Fennell took some tough contact right there.
And then the guy that you kind of replace, if you will, like you were saying, right, who steps in for Olsen. Excuse me, I just gave it away. Who steps in for Staub is Olsen, right? A guy who's a 3-year starter as well. So it's an embarrassment of riches a little bit here for Garden City. 2nd and 8. Vortuba in motion. Fake goes to him. And this is that package we mentioned before where you could see Archer at QB.
Yep, they put Archer at QB, and it's kind of an empty set. They took the quarterback and split him out wide. And people used to call it the Wildcat. And realistically, you're just running for the lineman. You're just blocking your offense with a different player taking the snap. And there's usually some jet motion involved. Maybe get the defense leaning or looking one way. And he brings it back. Archer gets a few yards. Just keeping the defense, off balance a little bit.
3rd and 7 for Garden City as we approach 4 minutes remaining in this first half.
I think the outgrowth of playing in the Wildcat now, all the teams have a package of somebody else taking the snap. A lot of it boils down to is how much abuse do you want your quarterback taking and running the ball all the time. And, you say to yourself, there's definitely a backup quarterback on the sideline at Garden City, right? But he's not Cole Weber. And doesn't have the experience of Cole Webb. Cole taking, 3 more hits a game. Let's do that, and let's get the ball directly in the hands of one of our playmakers right away without a need to block for him. You gain a blocker sort of.
Vortuba got to the 34, so 4th and 1. It was Reyes with the tackle. Here's your heavy package trying to get that yard. And he got a few more, did Weber. He was so fast through that line, you almost wondered if there was going to be a flag on the play because he just flew through the line.
That's about Tom Brady quarterback sneaks. He always seems to get it right over the years and just gets through there. And I think he's a little faster than Tom, though.
So, fresh set of downs at the New Hyde Park 26-yard line.
Parai.
Fennell scoots out of that. It's Vortuba. Fennell leading as a lead blocker. Vortuba dances along that far sideline before finally getting out at about the 9-yard line.
What a block by Stevie Fennell. He just, he puts a guy on the ground. I mentioned last night the players I thought who could, did you see the replay?
Watch 21.
They motioned Fennell to be the lead blocker. Here he comes.
Oh.
And boom, he caught him off balance, but he gets him on the floor. And I mentioned in the broadcast last night the players who I think, just my own personal opinion, who are in the hunt for the Thorpe Award, the outstanding player in the county, is Stevie Fennell for his ability to do multiple things on the football field, run, block, tackle.
First and goal from the 9. Fennell gets to about the 5.
Good run right there by Fennell. Tough running right there.
I imagine I didn't watch your entire broadcast. I didn't hear your other names, but I got to imagine Shane Mosia's among those contenders for, again, a guy who does things on both sides of the football.
I thought Shane Mosia could be up for either the Thorpe or the linebacker award, the Pioneer award, or maybe some combination of both. I would think Lorenzo Ramos at Farmingdale, certainly in the Thorpe discussion as well. Mosia and Fennell are all.
As another pass interference penalty will be called. That was a pass intended for Archer, which will bring Garden City half the distance to the goal line.
Yeah, you look at a player like Mosia and Fennell, both very good students as well, and good at multiple things on the football field. They block, they tackle, they carry the ball. They do a little bit of everything for each of their teams. And you have a player like Ramos that plays corner and runs the ball and had a crazy game last time, the second half against Allison. All those guys are certainly capable candidates. The other player who I haven't seen play too much, but I've seen great highlights of, is the quarterback at Mepham, Novello. I'm not the one apt to believe that a quarterback should win the Thorpe these days. I like a two-way type of a guy, but Novello was an excellent player.
So after the pass interference penalty, the ball on the 3-yard line, 2nd and goal. We've got Archer, Fennell, and Vortuba as part of that power I. Under center is Weber. Oh, it's a motion just to his left. And this will push Garden City back.
Gained 5, gained a little bit, and get it right back, Still second down, though.
And we have the other little bit of a change here for Garden City is on that offensive line, where Kevin Blum is starting his second game at center. He was the right tackle, but an injury there has kind of altered a few things for the Trojans up front.
We always mention the center when something bad happens. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Well, he wasn't the one who moved, to be fair.
No.
Weber, under pressure, reverses course, looking for blockers. He's got to tuck that football, though, and he's taken down to 10, so a loss of 2.
This is a good little stand right now by New Hyde Park. They committed a foul. You got to play back on the Garden City moving. You play a good down right here. And if you're Garden City, you have at least one down, if not maybe 2 at 9-0. Maybe you try to kick a field goal if you didn't score here. But if you're at New Hyde Park and you can hold them to a field goal or less, that's a huge win, closing it on a halftime, right?
Yeah.
Fast-moving half.
Minute and a half away from that, less than that now. 3rd and goal. It's now Fennell on the back field. Weber, pump fakes, goes end zone, back corner, jump ball, and incomplete. Good coverage there. Looks like it was Garvey to do so.
Excellent coverage when that ball's in the air. It's half offense, half defense, everybody's ball, right? So go up and make a play on it. And it looks like the Garden City guys have decided to go field goal right here.
Yeah, so the kicking team led by Menudo coming out, and he will attempt a 26-yard field goal.
Looks like Cooper Krause is the holder.
Snap is good. The kick is up. It has the distance, and it is good. So Menudo, a 26-yard field goal, extends the Garden City lead to 12-0. We'll take a quick break. We'll get you the final 112 of this first half when we return. You're watching this Nassau County Conference 2 Showdown presented by Orland & Cohen on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
We welcome you back to Warren King Field on this beautiful late fall afternoon, week 8 of the high school football season, and Garden City with a 12-0 lead, looking to maintain that, or maybe even get a little bit more here as they are set to kick off after that Menudo 26-yarder. And Menudo, his kickoff will be fielded at about the 5-yard line. So New Hyde Park starts off at the 23. Let's take a look at that. The schedule for Garden City, we mentioned before, right? A little bit week 1, you're like, wow, Long Beach, I guess, is for real, and they proved it throughout the season. 21-14 win, and then a win at Southside, 41-21, back-to-back shutouts over Herricks and Elmont. In fact, only those 18 points given up against Mepham, that's been it for the last 5 weeks of football. You had shutouts against Calhoun and MacArthur as well. And as you mentioned before, Mike, MacArthur has been sort of that other team. If not for Garden City in their conference, they would probably be 2 or 3 time as a flag is thrown, a little movement on the offense. They probably would have been 2 or 3 time county champions if Garden City wasn't in there. Like, you look at MacArthur's schedule the last couple of years, they'd have like 1 loss, 2 losses, and it's only to Garden City.
MacArthur is a very good program. Coach Farron back there at MacArthur does a tremendous job. They spent few years in Conference 1 at times, and I coached against him, and he did a great job in terms of like preparation, having his teams ready, playing with toughness and resiliency, and they've been close so many times and had some great players and had some Thorpe Award winners along the way, Joyce and some other guys there, and John Vellante playing there, and a bunch of guys over the years, and a tremendous program at MacArthur.
One of the reasons you saw them at the lower portion of the standings is because they had an insane amount of seniors last year. I want to say something like 30-something seniors. They had very few guys who, unlike a Garden City, who saw a lot of time. So ultimately, if you don't win with a lot of seniors and only maybe 2 or 3 juniors on your roster, not only in your starting lineup, there is going to be a little bit of a struggle as guys who play JV are now getting pushed up. So final 40 seconds, a loss of 1 there on first down for New Hyde Park.
It happens fast, though. Maybe your first game, you got a bunch of new guys starting, and you don't win the first game, you lose. Okay, we're going to go back, we're going to keep working, and we're going to coach, and maybe a guy gets nicked up, you lose a guy in the first game, and now it's the second game, and you find a way not to lose the second game. Well, quarter of your season's over, and you're 0-2. Yeah. It goes. Football's a unique animal in that respect.
Alvarenga pushes forward. Looks like he gets back to maybe the original line of scrimmage, but that should be it. They're not going to have to run another play here in the first half. So listen, if you're New Hyde Park, man, heads held high going in to halftime. They have battled. They've done a lot of good things. It's just a few of the things that went wrong, it quickly spiraled against them as and of course, again, you're playing the cream of the crop here in Garden City. So the Trojans, they run inside for halftime. It is a 12-0 lead for Garden City. You're watching this Nassau Conference 2 showdown presented by Orland & Cohen on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out into talking. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. Varsity Media covers every sport at every level from every angle. Game film, recruiting videos, highlight videos, SPORTSCASTs.
That's complete. First down and more. Touchdown, Oceanside.
Photography, live streaming. You name it, we offer it. Don't leave your video needs to amateurs. Trust the pros. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net. If you're an event organizer looking for a media company to cover live streaming, action photography, and game video for your event, look no further. Varsity Media travels throughout the Northeast covering weekend tournaments, showcases, and championships. Contact us today to learn about our services and packages at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
For the best action shots and the best angles, look no further than Varsity Media. Our experienced photographers capture your athletes' best moments right from field level. Plus, we offer great keepsakes like bobbleheads, posters, plaques, and prints. For more information about Varsity Media's photography services, contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net. You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, Available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out into talking. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. Varsity Media covers every sport at every level from every angle. Game film, recruiting videos, highlight videos, sportscasts.
That's complete. First down and more. Touchdown, Oceanside.
Photography, live streaming. You name it, we offer it. Don't leave your video needs to amateurs. Trust the pros. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net. If you're an event organizer looking for a media company to cover live streaming, action photography, and game video for your event, look no further. Varsity Media travels throughout the Northeast covering weekend tournaments, showcases, and championships. Contact us today to learn about our services and packages at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
For the best action shots and the best angles, look no further than Varsity Media. Our experienced photographers capture your athletes' best moments right from field level. Plus, we offer great keepsakes like bobbleheads, posters, plaques, and prints. For more information about Varsity Media's photography services, contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net. You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out to talk it. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to varsitymediapass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. Varsity Media covers every sport at every level from every angle. Game film, recruiting videos, highlight videos, SPORTSCASTs.
That's complete. First down and more. Touchdown, Oceanside.
Photography, live streaming. You name it, we offer it. Don't leave your video needs to amateurs. Trust the pros. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net. If you're an event organizer looking for a media company to cover live streaming, action photography, and game video for your event, look no further. Varsity Media travels throughout the Northeast covering weekend tournaments, showcases, and championships. Contact us today to learn about our services and packages at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
For the best action shots and the best angles, look no further than Varsity Media. Our experienced photographers capture your athletes' best moments right from field level. Plus, we offer great keepsakes like bobbleheads, posters, plaques, and prints. For more information about Varsity Media's photography services, contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net. You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
High school football fans, Varsity Media is bringing exciting, exclusive content to you for the 2022 season. Introducing the Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android. Accessible all season long, the Varsity Media Pass features game highlights, weekly podcasts,
A clash of styles, out to talk it. We love those differing styles, right?
top 10 plays of the week, player interviews, and so much more. Head to VarsityMediaPass.com to download the app and start enjoying content only Varsity Media can bring. Varsity Media covers every sport at every level from every angle. Game film, recruiting videos, highlight videos, sportscasts.
That's complete. First down and more. Touchdown, Oceanside.
Photography, live streaming. You name it, we offer it. Don't leave your video needs to amateurs. Trust the pros. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net. If you're an event organizer looking for a media company to cover live streaming, action photography, and game video for your event, look no further. Varsity Media travels throughout the Northeast covering weekend tournaments, showcases, and championships. Contact us today to learn about our services and packages at 516-403-2050 or visit us online at varsitymedia.net.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Welcome back to Warren King Field. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here with you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Second half of the final game of the regular season about set to go. Those guys, the Trojans of Garden City, with a 12-0 lead after the first half. New Hyde Park doing a lot of good things offensively, moving the football, but a couple of mistakes proved costly. Sawyer Olson had a safety for Garden City, tackling Vinny Alvarenga in the end zone. That made it 2-0. Then Stevie Fennell rushed for 40 yards for the score. It was his 9th rushing touchdown of the year. That made it 9-0. And then Hayden Menudo with a 26-yard field goal, the only scoring of the second quarter.
Right now, it's pretty important, drive here coming out of halftime for New Hyde Park. If they have any hope of trying to get back in the game, I think they need to get a stop right here on this drive and not let Garden City score.
A bouncer fielded by Bacafola, and he actually goes backwards. Good job on the return team. On the specials. I think that was it 68, Alexander Cram, perhaps there for New Hyde Park. So Garden City will get started on their own 37-yard line.
Bacafola, a pretty familiar name here at Garden City.
Yeah.
Older brother, a very good athlete himself.
And that's the other thing about it. That's the other aspect of this that's kind of, it's almost unfair, right? Like, one, you get those guys who are first-year starters who have all those reps, but then you get all those brothers as well, right? The younger brothers all stepping up. There's and Owen Wooked is on this year's team. We know his brother as well, and we mentioned Cascadden too. So. And
I've been around long enough where you're starting to get sons.
Yeah, Stevie Fennell.
Getting sons, Coach Fennell, I consider a pretty good friend of mine in the coaching community. His son. You have a Saki on the team. His father was a very good player. You have two Krauses as twins on the team. Father was an excellent athlete, Andy Krause, here at Garden City back in the 80s. One of the very best lacrosse players maybe to ever play at Garden City. Faced off, a great player of University of Virginia. So you have all these guys who are becoming, their legacies,
Even their regular starting center, which is Ryan Krieg, he got hurt in that first play against Calhoun as Vortuba angles himself forward and gets the first down. So the Ryan Krieg was the starting center. They hope to get him back for the playoffs. His brother Ryan stepped right into that role vacated by his brother TJ a year ago.
Just keeps churning. Another guy. So pretty good drive starting out by Garden City. We were talking about some other things, but they've moved the ball pretty succinctly here in the first few plays.
And they have moved to the new Hyde Park 48-yard line. Weber under center. Goes for that inside handoff. I think it was Archer pushing forward. You got to peel guys off the line.
Quick dive right there. Quick dive right there to Archer. Just get in behind those linemen and get a push and wedge it up in there and see what you can get. Archer is not your prototypical fullback. He's in the fullback spot in that I formation. They're not your typical fullback size player, but there he is, gets the ball and is able to get in behind the lineman and get you almost 4 yards.
Yeah, he is tough as nails, man. Jack Archer, 5'11", 180, the Lehigh lacrosse commit. Another one, right? Brother Pierce, just a couple years ago. 2nd and 7. Toss to Vortuba. Cuts it inside, and a good collective effort tackling there for a short gain. We saw 78 in there for New Hyde Park.
Looks like he just came out of the game. Hopefully he's okay.
Oh, that was Jake Rogers, too.
Over to the sideline and kind of laying on the sideline over there, receiving some attention. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, that's something that, again, we mentioned would sort of side railed or sidetracked New Hyde Park a year ago were those injuries. Weber. Oh, nearly intercepted. Good job by 44 on that play. Nick Rios getting his hand on it, but just unable to complete the play.
Yeah, Rios didn't really get a rush there. He kind of was like on the line of scrimmage, and Weber tried to throw it around him. Was unsuccessful. I think if we would have got it to the receiver, would have been a first down. Would have been able to turn it up, get some yardage there. But go and see guys will punt, and if they punted here, you're playing the field position game. If you're Coach Ettinger and you're forced to punt, and you pin New Hyde Park deep, and you let your defense do the work because you've got 12, and 2 of them have come from the safety. Just happened before, in the same kind of situation. You pinned them deep, and the same thing hopefully will occur again if you go in City.
Matt Melling, the punt. It's a fair catch signaled, and it does not stay in bounds. It goes through the back of the end zone. So New Hyde Park will get things going.
Now we got a flag here, Dylan. I think we're going to have running into the punter, which might give Garden City a first down. I can see that the New Hyde Park coaches are not happy with the application of the rule in the play, So I think they're very upset.
Yeah, Mike, this was a 4th and 5, so certainly if it is that, and there you see the call. And did they call that a 15-yarder?
I'm not sure. Sometimes the rules in high school have changed. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I don't know if they took the 5-yarder out and now it's just a 15.
I think we've seen the 5 this year.
Yeah, I think we have. But
so devastating for New Hyde Park. Like you said, right? You forced a punt. And then you're trying to put pressure on the punter Melling, and it results in a, let's see, they're going to mark off 15, right? So it's not a running into, it is a roughing the punter. Look at the difference there. Wow.
I'll be honest with you. I happened to watch the whole thing. My eyes were kind of there when it happened, and I don't know. I don't like the application of I think the 5. If he was going to throw it. 15 was, it was an official on the clock in the other booth. Maybe during the quarter, I'm going to ask him. I'll ask him for a little interpretation.
There we go.
But he got 15 out of it, and that's
maybe that's next level varsity media, right? We get that rules interpreter on our broadcasts.
You gotta have the ex-official though. You can't have some other guy that acts like he knows.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
One of those broadcasts has one of those guys who acts like he knows. Yeah. No way. He's an amateur.
No, we'll have the.
I want a former official.
Right. Checking in from his home, like in Bethpage or something. So after all of that, it'll be Garden City ball from the New Hyde Park 22-yard line. And it's Fennell bouncing it to the outside, cuts inside of a defender, and he is pulled down. Looks like just shy of the 15-yard line.
Good perimeter blocking there. They're in the power eye there, and they give the ball to Fennell, who's lined up as a power back on the right, and they go left.
I love the patience here by Fennell, too.
Good block by Vortruba.
And then even there, too, right? We've talked about it before with other guys. Like, he falls forward, right, and gets a couple more yards. So 1st and 10 from the 11. Weber now under center. Fakes the handoff, rolls right, looks for options, slings it sidearmed, and that's an incomplete pass.
Good coverage by New Hyde Park right there off the boot action. They have the low receiver covered and the deep receiver covered in the pattern. Really good job by New Hyde Park against that play.
Yeah, their head coach Colin Mayer says, listen, we've improved a lot. We've got a lot of guys in starting roles now who were not there last year. We knew that coming in. Only 3 returning starters for the Gladiators. But they had 4 kids who didn't even play football last year who are impact players this year because of injuries and then because of just returning to football after COVID. 2nd and 10 from the 11. Flip to Fennell. He had a pair of tacklers there. Looks like Rogers. Good to see him back in the game. 78 one of the 2 tacklers there.
You know, Dylan, let's look at the game right now. It's 12-0, right? Let's give New Hyde Park their due right now.
100%.
So they've given up a safety, which not really an aspect of the defense did a good job to force the punt, and they got pinned. They've given up a pretty good touchdown run to Fennell, correct? And they've got a few stops.
Weber, incomplete towards the end zone. So either you go for it here, or again, you look for the field goal, and then the field goal team will come on now.
You definitely have to kick, Dylan. I say that because the Menudo is a good kicker, and it's a very makeable field goal. It's a little bit longer. It's going to turn out being a little bit longer than an extra point. And, you get 3 more, you're at 15, so now you're at 2 scores ahead for sure. And New Hyde Park's going to need a touchdown with an extra point and a 2-point conversion to just tie the game.
Looks to be a 24-yarder, and that's no good.
You know, I will say, though, a little bit of a tough angle. The high school hash marks are wider than the college hash marks. So when you kick closer to the goal line from the hash, it becomes a much tougher field goal and hard to swing it in. And that was one of those close to the goal line kind of a kicks that you have to wedge in.
I have a cool feature here in Varsity Media last couple of weeks. We get to know a couple of the players from both teams. Let's take a look and get to know a little bit about a guy that Mike Hungerford likes a lot. Mr. Archer. Favorite pizza slice, the buffalo chicken. His Halloween costume this year, little Peaky Blinders. And his game day playlist song, Blue Notes by Meek Mill. Getting to know Jack Archer. We didn't get a chance to ask there. I wanted to find out what pizzeria, though, as well.
The pizzeria is critical.
Yeah, 100%.
Pizzeria is critical.
I had Ben Turchin ask those questions. I think he fumbled that. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. And then Garvey going nowhere, thrown backwards by Cruciello.
Cruciello there making a nice play on defense wearing that 77 number.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in the 4th quarter with John Perez, but yeah, Big Andy, he's been a big part of that Garden City defense for a couple of years now.
Feels like the whole half's been played in New Hyde Park's end of the field, right? But their defense has stood tall. They've really, Garden City hasn't been successful really throwing the ball on those passes when they need to. And New Hyde Park needs to pop a play here, though,
They've not had that big play, right? Like, they've moved the football, but they've not really threatened. You haven't had that big, 60-yard gain or 50-yard gain. Oh, this was another one, too, that fumbles. And that's a little bit of the problem. I think when you're the Gladiator, you can't, you don't have to be perfect, right, Mike? But you can't hurt yourself, right? The unforced mistakes are really costly when you play a team like Garden City.
Sure, you see Garden City liberally substituting here for a passing situation down now. But, death by 1,000 paper cuts, Dylan, is kind of what happens sometimes, right? You can't hurt yourself, and you can't put yourself in those situations where you're going to, third and 15 is not good for anybody. There's very few teams on Long Island at any level of any conference where third and 15 is a fun down. It's tough.
Alvarenga. Short out. Looks like that's Riley. Tries to cut inside, but only gets a couple of yards. So this should bring out no teen in the punters in the punting unit for New Hyde Park.
Good stand by the Garden City defense again.
Deep for the Trojans, Berkery and Cascadin again.
One of those situations. They can get their hands on the ball here. There's a little breeze at the punter's face. He kicked a couple bombs before with the wind. This one's against it. If they can get their hands on it, they may have some real estate to run around with here.
Oh, no, a high snap, and that'll go through the back of the end zone. It's rare that you see one safety in a game. We've now seen two safeties.
Dylan, I got to tell you, we've done two games together. Two of the games we've done together this year, the former Freeport game and now the Garden City New Hyde Park game. We've seen two safeties. Safety Saturday. Here we go.
Yeah, you replace your field goal Friday with a safety Saturday.
You can go years without seeing a safety. And you see two.
The band striking up the Jaws music. They had a great performance too at halftime. Good job collectively, right, by the support units here, supporting groups, the cheerleaders and the kick line, the band as well. One of the better game day atmospheres here at Garden City.
Yep, I was at Plain Edge last night, and they had a beautiful facility at Plain Edge. They have one of those big football helmets, those blow-up football helmets. Yep. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Another safety kick. They can punt this or kick it off a tee, and they like to kick it off a tee.
It's fielded and dropped for a moment at the 45-yard line, and then blowing a tire was Cascadin. Well, let's get to know a New Hyde Park player. And how about Walter Reyes? You see him there, number 33. Favorite I'm all about his pregame meal, dude. A big plate of eggs, beans, and a big piece of chicken. Walter Reyes is getting ready for football with that, man. I'm going to get ready for a nap, I think, after that. Favorite movie, Black Panther. I support that as well. Favorite athlete, he said Zach Thomas, because the Dolphin star, right, was an undersized guy, but he really battled, and you can see Reyes, too, at 5'9", 190, living that same reality for New Hyde Park.
I love the Zach Thomas reference. That's
right?
Awesome. He was a great football player.
And I love that he gave the explanation as to the reason why as well. So Weber back to pass. Look out, the pressure comes. He's hit, and he's intercepted as well at the 45-yard line.
There's some turn of events right there.
87 is the one who handed the ball back. Joel Massey, I'm not sure if he's the one who actually got it. Let's take a look again, but first, the pressure comes.
It was an unblocked player there. Weber's just trying to get rid of it and throws it into the line there, and the defensive lineman from New Hyde Park is there for the pick.
It's a first big play defensively.
Weber came off. He was a little frustrated with himself there, and I think that those are the mistakes I believe that Coach Ettinger was referencing to you when you spoke with him about those kind of mistakes. Those are the ones, if you're Garden City, you don't want to have.
Inside handoff. And a yard or two there on first down. But listen, Mark Mayer, Colin's older brother, was a guy who for years coached defense at St. Anthony's. Just a terrific football coach, and he's the guy. He's in charge of this defense, and you got to give this New Hyde Park defense a lot of credit. I mean, again, the points that they've been giving up have been self-inflicted, right? 4 points, obviously, off of safeties. You got 3, only the 1 touchdown to this point for Fennell.
Yeah, 2 safeties, a field goal, and 1 touchdown. They've played pretty well defensively.
2nd and 8 from the 48. Alvarenga back to pass. A completed pass. And these short outs they've been able to get. They're getting 5 or 6 yards sometimes on these receptions. They've moved the chains as well.
The Garden City defense has done a good job to the single receiver to the field. They're playing like a bit of a trap coverage right there and not allowing him, like doubling him, high-lowing him, or trapping him on trap coverage there. And so they're throwing it away from that to the short side of the field. Right now we're in 3rd and 3. I don't know, it's still about 3 minutes and 40 seconds running in the third quarter. Are you in 4-down range pretty soon? Something's got to give here. Can make your life simple by just getting the first down right now.
Garvey was the motion. It's the keep, and there's the first down. A terrific run as Alvarenga, the fixer for New Hyde Park, gets the first down.
They started the game with Alvarenga running the ball a little bit, in the beginning of the game, and I liked it. And I thought it was pretty good coaching. They kind of got back to it. They had the jet motion there. The motion first, bring the receiver across, and they bring 2 linemen in that GT look. And they run the quarterback there. That's a good look. I like to see them get back to that again.
1st and 10 from the 41-yard line. And look at this run to the outside. There's some room to move. Garvey! And there is the first big offensive play of the game for New Hyde Park. First down at the Garden City 12.
It was a big block on the edge. I think the Garden City coaches were talking about that it might have been in the back.
No, that's to the side.
See right there, what happened there was you have Vitruba coming up, and he sees the play coming up, and he's trying to cut it in half a little bit. And according to the officials, a clean block, and they let that play on. Big play for him. That was the play that New Hyde Park kind of needed.
Yes. Here we go. 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line. Alvarenga. Hands off, bouncing off the first tackler is Garvey, and then he's pushed back. Tristan Malahi, number 88, with the tackle.
Good play by 88 right there.
Excuse me, that was John Yehoda.
Yehoda kind of just, swallowed him up.
Yehoda, a guy, 6', 200, a junior, 32 tackles on the year, just getting better each week. Was a JV player as a 10th grader, so now this is his first varsity experience. A little bit different than some of those other guys, but again, the improvement has been seen week after week. Only a gain of 1 there, 2nd and 9.
3 more big downs right here for both teams.
Emotion Riley, it's Alvarenga. His first isn't there. A flag is thrown as Bacafola is in on the tackle.
So that's the same play they ran before for the game with the quarterback.
Sorry, Mike, I don't mean to cut you off there. Personal foul face mask. So this will be half the distance. Watch it again here. Obviously, it comes against the quarterback.
You can see they have the Y-off player just.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. The scheme there, I like the scheme of that running play right there. They use that Y-off player on the edge there to steal the backside. They pull 2 linemen. They jet sweep it across, get you leaning maybe a little bit, and they bring it back with the quarterback. But really good defense by Garden City right there.
It's the ball at the 8-yard line. New Hyde Park threatening to score. And if they do, it's a 1-score game after all this. Oh, another snap. Alvarenga just has to fall on it. It will be, they were at the 8. They're going to lose about 14 yards here inside the final minute. And that's been the killer, right? The errant snaps. You mentioned about mentioning the center here as well, but so much going right, and then you go backwards. And you go backwards by a lot if you're New Hyde Park.
Tough situation, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts again, one at a time, little mistakes here and there, right? And then the good news is New Hyde Park will be a playoff team, right?
Yep.
And they'll be able to, if they don't pull a game out here, they don't win the game. When they watch the film, they can really point out to the players, things you have to do that enable you to beat a team like Garden City up, because they're not far off. They're not far off right now.
Timeout, New Hyde Park. So they will talk it over here in the final 11 seconds.
Interesting decision to call timeout there. I don't know if they needed to with the clock running out of time for them and then a penalty, or they just chose to, but definitely 11.5 seconds to go here in the third quarter.
Well, as has been the case all year, Mike, Varsity Media Pass is your home for all things Long Island high school football, as well as the New York Catholic Football League as well. That's your home for your top 10 plays, highlights, interviews, podcasts, and so much more. It's Varsity Media Pass, available on iOS and Android as well. I suspect we'll be breaking down, or really kind of mostly previewing, the first rounds of the playoffs in the Catholic Football League, as well as the public school divisions and conferences. Everything, it's funny because now is like the week where, unless you're a team that's like trying to win a conference championship, or that team that's just like an 8th seed, you're trying to get in or you're not sure, really the drama is more as you're hitting refresh on like the Section 8 or the Section 11 website, trying to figure out the matchups now, right? Like, let's go. Let's find out who's playing each other next week.
Sure, I think in Nassau, I think the 4 teams that if Garden City is able to follow through here in the West, 12 minutes and a few seconds and finish undefeated in the regular season, those 4 teams would be the heavy favorites.
Oh, yeah.
In each of their respective conferences.
So they're back to the 23-yard line. Last play likely of this third quarter. Alvarenga goes end zone. He's got a man. Oh, in and out of the hands. I think that was Riley.
I tell you what, it was a good decision. He picked the right receiver. I think he could have ran for a really long time.
Yeah, watch it again, Mike. You're right. He is watched here. He ducks under, and he's got a lot of room, it looks like, there.
Yeah, there is a linebacker there spying him, though. We'd have to make him miss, but there was quite a bit of room.
So close there. Thomas Riley in the back of the end zone. He was one of those guys as well who was an impact player who didn't play football a year ago. Played on JV, was a baseball player as well. Coming out of COVID, didn't play. Great to see Tom Riley and his twin brother Kevin back as well. And those are your starting receivers. Tom Riley at 6'3", 180. Kevin at 6'2", 180. A short pass. Look at this, a little trickery. And it's Garvey inside the 10-yard line. But the Garden City defense gets the stop off of the turnover on downs.
That was a nice play to come up with at the end of the quarter, but just not enough yardage for New Hyde Park on the hook and ladder.
3 quarters in the books here from Warren King Field. It is Garden City with a 14-0 lead over New Hyde Park. You're watching this Nassau Conference 2 showdown presented by Orland & Cohn on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Welcome back to Garden City. Fourth quarter about to start. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here with you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We welcome in the third member of our broadcast team to talk about that special number 77 for Garden City.
Ball start against Garden City.
So, guys, when you look over at Garden City, you see Andy Cuscello wearing number 77, and that's a special number for Garden City. Of course, the late Paul Eckner class of 1991 worked at the World Trade Center during 9/11, and he wore that number 77 as a part of Garden City, and it's given to the top linemen every year, and Andy Cuscello winning that honor this year. And Coach Eckner said that it was between him and Sawyer Olson, and he said that Cuscello, for the job that he's done over the last few years, he's really earned that. It could have been awarded to either one of those two guys, but it just goes to show the leadership of Kushella and this front line. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, John. And yeah, Paul Ekna, Mike, worked as an international equity trader at Cantor Fitzgerald, whose headquarters were atop One World Trade Center, and he was one of 8 Garden City residents among the 658 Cantor Fitzgerald employees who died on 9/11. And it's great, certainly, that you keep his memory alive here at Garden City, as they have really since his death, with that special number 77.
Sure, nobody has a Garden City staff all has hats with a number on it, and it's a big deal here at Garden City, and that's very good.
2nd and 3. And as John mentioned on his hit, this was one of the tougher choices. Not that Cruciello hasn't earned it. He absolutely has. But you had such another candidate in Sawyer Olson who also could have been that guy. A year ago, it was Brendan Staub, but everyone knew that was the guy, right? Like, you knew Staub earned that right. And this year, you had multiple candidates, which obviously also, again, speaks of not only the skill ability, but also the greatness of some of the young men. There you see Big Andy there, number 77. Olson there with him as well.
Great to have multiple candidates. That's a really cool thing.
Handoff, burst up the middle, and a big carry there. It was Fennell to do so again.
Well, what happened here was, Dylan, they got the ball back very deep inside the 5-yard line. They actually had a half a distance to the goal penalty on a motion, Garden City, and since then they've run, I believe, 3 plays in a row and gotten themselves, 1 first down, and then working on a second one right now. So they put together a little drive here, and if New Hyde Park wants to have any chance, I think, to get back into the game down 14-0, they need to keep the Garden City guys over on this side, inside the 40 or so they can get the ball back in good field position.
Toss right. Vortuba cuts inside. First down and more. R.J. Vortuba. R.J. for the TD. Touchdown, Garden City. Another big play for the Trojans.
Trey plays blocked pretty well. I think there was one New Hyde Park defender who had a shot at it and couldn't make the play, and the rest is history. Toss.
Nice block there.
And right there was a chance for New Hyde Park to kind of make the play on Vitruber, and he's going downhill pretty hard. And I like how they run that toss. They pull one blocker inside and one blocker outside, so that you kind of cut off that inside rusher, the inside defender, that linebacker or safety taking the gap there. And you get one outside on a smaller defender. Well done.
Yeah, PAT is up, and it is good. 21-0 now the lead for Garden City here. 9:43 left in the fourth quarter. It's funny, too, we talked to Ettinger just about the consistency of his program. He says, listen, he thinks also it helps that they haven't had a lot of turnover in their staff, right, where there's been guys who have either played for, coached with, or been around the late, great Tom Flatley and the way that he ran the program. And Ettinger said, listen, when we took it over, we're not dumb, right? We're not going to change things that worked here at Garden City under the great Tom Flatley. But talk about Garden City greatness. Take a look at some of these numbers here, Mike, on this graphic, and amazing stuff, right? They are the all-time winningest program in Nassau County history. They did that last year, surpassing Lawrence. You see the championships as well, 26, including 6 in a row. 7 Rutgers Cups, 9 Long Island championships. And look at that record since 2009, 142-11. And in fact, for Dave Ettinger, during his now he's in his 8th year as head coach, his record overall is 80-3.
It's amazing consistency. And, people talk about winning, and I say it all the time. Winning is hard. Winning all the time is hard. Everyone's going to give you their very best effort. And they're going to say, if New Hyde Park could beat Garden City today, everything else would be gravy for the rest of the season, right? Everything else would be extra. It would make the young men in New Hyde Park and make their careers. Beating Garden City doesn't happen very often. So winning isn't easy. You're going to get everyone's best effort, but the Garden City guys have created a standard by which they live by, and it's really excellent. And if you think about it, Coach Flatley, stoic Coach Flatley, tremendous coach here for many years. And Coach Ettinger came to work for him. His Coach Fennell played for him, came back to coach with him. And Coach Fennell, wanted to be the defensive coordinator with Coach Flatley. Coach Flatley, a very almost a genius defensive mind in football. And then you have Coach Ettinger running the offense. So when Coach Flatley retires, Coach Ettinger just continues to run the offense, and he's the head coach now. Coach Fennell is coaching the defense, very similar to the way it was run by Coach Flatley, and things just continue,
Flatley was 264, 44, and 7 in 30 seasons as head coach. And as you mentioned, Ettinger, a 93 graduate of Comac, went on and played collegiate football at Hofstra, where he's the all-time leading scorer as a 4-year kicker. He joined this Garden City program in 99, and that was the lower level as well. He's been with the high school team since 2005.
Sure, for people that want to, for young people, maybe we can hit your broadcast, say, I want to coach someday. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and coaching the JV, coaching the junior high, things like that. For many years, that was kind of like the way. I think coaching now, it's hard to find coaches, so guys get fast-tracked a little bit to a higher level, but you do a lot of learning when you're coaching at the lower levels, and how to manage kids and how to win games and how to coach just all the parts of a team, and not just one position and what you played or what you did. You learn everything, and it's unparalleled success here with Coach Ettinger.
Conversely, Colin Mayer at New Hyde Park, as there's a fumble, and it's Garden City. There's a wrestling match for that loose ball, and the Trojans do come away. So you get the feeling after not converting or not getting in the end zone there in New Hyde Park and then giving up the big play that maybe a little dejection there for the guys in white and blue. You see it again, another botched snap, and then the fumble recovery for Garden City.
Listen, Garden City is very good, excellent defensively, and great skill players and a good offensive line. But the New Hyde Park guys have damaged themselves a little bit today with their mistakes so far, unfortunately. And can't give Garden City these kind of opportunities over and over again. Going back to it, Dylan, you said that on the graphic that Garden City was the winningest football program in Nassau County history. I think there are 4 or 5 teams that have won over 500 games. And 500 games is a pretty good number, but in a sport where until the mid-1970s, I think 7 games was a regular season. In the 40s and 50s and 30s, they played 6, sometimes 5 games in a season. So, we're playing more now than we ever have in Long Island. So to get to 500 is pretty impressive.
There's Archer. The run and the slide at the 15, stays inbounds.
Looks like Saquon Barkley right there.
He stayed in.
He stayed in. Well, he stayed in the past. The last game he did out. But I will tell you, forget him staying in. If they would have kicked the field goal, right? Oh, that would have been mute.
That is a good point.
I never not take points.
Garden
Always
City, as there's a slight injury timeout there. Looks like Garvey is back, which is good to see. And listen, I think another thing, if you're New Hyde Park, and we were about to mention, the stark contrasts, right, between these two programs, where Garden City, you've got the youth football in the town, right, and it's a program that obviously feeds itself. In New Hyde Park, you don't have town football, and you haven't had it in years, right? So that's an uphill climb for Colin Mayer, because a lot of what's done, in the youth football, like in the 7-year-olds and the 6-year-old, you're learning that now on the high school level. If you're New Hyde Park, you got a lot of first-year football players. Now you have athletes in the school, which is a positive, but a lot of coaching, a lot of teaching that has to get done at New Hyde Park.
Sure, I think that the teams on Long Island that traditionally do very well in football have strong youth football programs. Massapequa, Farmingdale, Garden City, and Nassau. Traditional teams who have Beth Page has good youth football. And that was a great pass.
Weber, end zone, touchdown, Archer. 15-yard touchdown pass from Weber to Archer, and he extends the Trojans' lead.
Great job by Archer getting his foot down for the touchdown.
And you know what? I think another thing, if you're in New Hyde Park, and it sounds strange to say this, but you could probably say, listen, maybe as you're watching film and you're breaking down certain plays here and there, the difference in a game like this, you could say we forced their starters to play 4 quarters, or certainly into the 4th quarter, right? And that should be a badge of honor in itself. There's an extra point attempt is up, and it is good.
Sure, I mean, people are going to pick up, people are going to see a score. They're going to look on social media. They're going to look at Newsday quick. They're going to look at score, and they're going to say, Garden City, it's 28 now. We'll see if what the final score is. And they'll say, another Garden City, here we go. But if you were here, it wasn't like that for quite a while. And I think the New Hyde Park guys have a lot to build off of.
But just look at it. It was 14-0, and you're going for the end zone, right? You get that touchdown, which was there, in and out in the back of the end zone. That's scored, and now it's a one-score game, right?
The hook and ladder was pretty close, actually. Hook and ladder was very good. There's our Trojan.
I like that. We need John Perez to wear that during the Guac Shop post-game show. I don't know if we can get that Trojan guy to maybe hand it off or let John Perez borrow it for a little bit.
Every time I hear Guac Shop, I always want to go. I fucking want to go. I'm always hungry, too.
You should want to go. And there's, 4 locations, I think, right? On Long Island.
It might ruin dinner tonight, but maybe I'll squeeze it in. I'll turn my phone off. My wife won't know my location. I'll sneak over there for a couple minutes.
She's watching the broadcast. She knows where you're going.
My wife, because they do watch the broadcast, but I do get a little bit of family critique sometimes. I get a little bit of evaluation.
Last year's meeting between these two teams, it was a 34-7 win by Garden City, as that kickoff will, look at that, stays in bounds and gets in, and that's Menudo doing a great job for the touchback. Last year, 34-7, Jack Cascadin, 12 carries for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. Vartuba had a big game in that one as well, had a 42-yard touchdown for the Trojans. That was in week 2 for New Hyde Park. So New Hyde Park a year ago, they lost. Well, they had that win against Cary, as we mentioned, right? They started 5-1, so that loss in week 2 to Garden City. Their only loss in the first 6 weeks of the regular season, but then they lost their last 3, which included that quarterfinal game against Cary, Colin Mayer. His first season was 2016, replaced Kevin Dolan, who Dolan went on and coached and is currently coaching at Chaminade. In 2016, they were 4-4. 2017, 3-6. 2018, 0-8. And since that, you've had a winning program. In 19, 5-4. Another fumble. And the defense, once again, smelling blood. 2019, you were 5-4. 2020, in the COVID-shortened season, 4-2. Last year, 5-4. After this game, they will be 5-3. So it's a steady progression for the Gladiators. There's no doubt.
Sure, they're certainly better than they had been prior, and they're coming a long way, a little bit at a time, every year, small improvement, but making overall big progress over the course of 5 or 6 years. And right now, I feel bad a little bit. The snapping is a little bit off, and it's one of those things. It seems like an easy task, right? It's much harder than people think it is to do it well.
I think especially if you have once you have like a mistake, then you got the yips a little bit, right? Like a shortstop trying to throw to first base, like.
I think if you've been around football enough, you've been in practice where you center, all of a sudden you can't do it. It's very interesting how it happens sometimes. It's a very mental side of it.
We mentioned Kevin Dolan, who's still a dean at New Hyde Park, went on and is the current head coach at Chaminade, and the Flyers having a great season in the AAA of the Catholic Football League. And we saw last night, too, in the AAA where St. Anthony's, they've earned the number 1 seed in the AAA, beating Stepinac on the road in White Plains as Ian Strong blocked what would have been the winning field goal for Stepinac, which would have then given Stepinac the number 1 seed and dropped St. Anthony's to the 3. Ian Strong had the block. Jaden Jenkins returned it for the touchdown, and a 27-21 win for St. Anthony's. Run to the outside. Look at the tackle. Great stuff there by 33, Brady Carroll.
That's a great play by Brady Carroll. He's playing on the end of the line there. Essentially playing in a DN spot. He got really great separation, got his hands on the blocker, got separation, got off the blocker, and ran and made the play. That's really good. Well, you can see he's that's coached, that's been practiced. Really good football there by Carroll.
Carroll, good-looking junior, 6'2", 175. Similar to a Tristan Malahi. They're both those tight ends offensively. Malahi, as we know as well, another one of those lacrosse commits going to the Naval Academy. Great to see from Malahi. So this has to be another snap, or we might have a hat trick of safeties in this one. Thankfully, we don't. Good end-over-end punt. Fielded at about the 48-yard line.
Good coverage.
That was Cooper Kraus with the return, and as you said, good coverage for New Hyde Park.
I think right about now at 28-0 with 5:52 to go in Game 8, and Garden City looking at a 1-8 matchup next week in the first round. I think they're going to go with a second group offensively with a very small move by Coach Edinger, and that's what we're talking about right here, right? 5:52 to go in the fourth quarter, and you get those guys are going to get almost 6 minutes of reps. The twos are going to get 6 minutes of reps, but they would not normally, and a lot of teams don't get those guys those reps in games.
We'll show you when we get an opportunity, maybe after this play, the standings again in Nassau Conference 2, and maybe start to project if we can, Mike. And again, with PowerPoints being what they are, there's still a little bit of guessing, and there's still teams that can jump others. The certainty of it is obviously the 1 seed, right? We know it's going to be Garden City. Here's 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Handoff there by Carson Kraus. And it was a run there by Owen Wukta. We mentioned him before. Here we look again, Mike, at the standings in Nassau Conference 2.
Well, Garden City's kind of locked themselves.
I think Mepham's locked themselves in 2 as well.
Believe so.
And kind of Long Beach, likely, right? Should be the 3. So I don't know if you get a lot of movement now that I think about it.
May not get too much. And
might have a Garden City Calhoun matchup.
It's all going to run through Garden City, as it usually does. And I think looking at score watching a little bit, and that's always a little dangerous to look at scores and compare scores. But I think Garden City is a heavy favorite, and we'll have to do something.
Look at this, reversing it is Cooper Kraus. Lowers the shoulder, late flag as well. Good job by Cooper Kraus.
Cooper Kraus running a little bit around like his dad did. Good run right there by Kraus. Before that, you saw Wukta, another younger brother of an older brother, getting some time. Wukta valuable minutes last year in the on the lacrosse team as a defensive midi as a 9th grader. So 10th grader now, getting some time in the game.
Was he the one who scored that really long
10-man goal?
Yeah.
Yes, against Comstock. Yes, it was 0-0 for quite a while, and they win the 10-man ride, Comstock. And if you're not going to shoot it versus a 10-man, you're going to have trouble. And he threw it in. And
I remember that look that we had from the other end zone. It was like a perfect vantage point, and you're like, what does he do? Oh, this is going in. And it went in. Here's Kraus again on the hand. No, a keep, this time by Carson Kraus.
Can do that in the backyard.
Yeah, right.
One to the other, one Kraus to the other.
A couple of yards there. That's another one of those things, too, that you love it from Garden City, right, where – and I feel like we say it every broadcast that we're here, but it bears repeating, I think, that, look, there's so many of those, like, lacrosse guys, right? And we know what they're going to do in the spring and what they're going to do in the next level, right? The Fennells, Wukta as well. But Tristan Malahy as well, Cole Weber. But from like August, as there's a run to the outside, from August until like mid-November, they are not lacrosse players. They are football players through and through. And I think it's a big part of that tradition. It's taught to you from the guys who come before you, and you know all the names and what it means to wear these uniforms. But I've always been so impressed with that as like a quote unquote second sport, what they've been able to do.
Sure, I think on Long Island, big, obviously very, very, I'm pretty involved in it myself, but a pretty, powerhouse lacrosse area in the country, and a lot of the lacrosse athletes play a second sport, football, and the teams that play well in Long Island football have a lot of lacrosse guys playing.
There's Wukta up the middle. Looks like he'll gain the first down.
You have Garden City as the foremost team. Last night, Manhasset, even, in the game against Plainedge, you had a bunch of lacrosse guys playing Plainedge this year. Shane Mosier, the very good defender. You have Caden Moore, the quarterback's a good attackman. Danell on the receiver is a good player in lacrosse as well. Farmingdale has a bunch of the lacrosse guys playing. Massapequa always does as well. So you need those multi-sport guys, to be competitive. And at Garden City, it's certainly a big part of what they do.
Another handoff, sweep. And another run there by Wukta, the sophomore. And to kind of speak a little bit about how much time this second offense has had this year, you look at Wukta's numbers, 23 carries for 98 yards coming in. And Ettinger described him as that next step guy, right? He played a lot as a second teamer in the second half of games, have done a great job. He's the guy for next year. Fennell is going to graduate, and now you put Wukta into that spot, and he'll be a junior in a year's time.
Tree looks like you got Tyler Gorman in the game blocking a little bit and Melling a little bit involved. There's on the toss. Good block.
Yeah, to the outside.
By Gorman.
27 had the block. Wukta gets down at about the 9-yard line.
Yep, with clock running with under 3 minutes to go here, you have Garden City's determined second group trying to get a score in for themselves in this game, and against New Hyde Park's defensive guy trying to get a stop. Earlier score from today in another part of Long Island, you had Sayville and Hills West, two undefeated teams, were playing in Week 8, and Sayville was up 21-0 early. We'll try to maybe get an update there.
That was a battle of undefeated teams. We were counting them coming in to this game. There were 8 teams on Long Island who came into Week 8 unbeaten. Right, Farmingdale, and they remain unbeaten. They're 8-0. They beat Syosset last night. Conference 2, it's Garden City, which will go ahead, like the political polls, will project them as the winner here against New Hyde Park. Conference 3, Plain Edge won last night. They finished their regular season at 8-0 as well. In Conference 4, it's North Shore, who's had some battles this year. They're the top dogs there. We go to Suffolk County. It's William Floyd. In Division 1, in Division 2, there is no undefeated team. It's been that black and blue, as you mentioned before. Belport has won it, though, with only one loss on the season. In Division 3, we mentioned those two teams, Sayville and Hills West. And in Division 4, it is Bayport Blue Point, their first undefeated regular season since the early 90s.
Great. That's good for them. Those lacrosse guys again.
Yeah,
a bunch of those lacrosse guys
Brady
are
Clark.
another quarterback, I believe, is a baseball player. As Garden City's going to victory formation and take a knee, very classy.
Yep.
Could run more plays, but you don't have to do that. And baseball Blue Point with some of those lacrosse guys playing, and but some quarterbacks, a baseball guy, and they're having a very, very good season. It's their turn, it looks like, in Conference 4 in Suffolk. And North Shore's been doing it, in Nassau, minus a very good lineman. Been hurt a lot of the year and missed almost the whole season. So, they've had a few close games, but they seem to be on track right now as well.
So final score here, it is 28-0. Garden City, they improved to 8-0. Their winning streak extends to 26 consecutive games, an incredible number for Garden City. New Hyde Park, meanwhile, they will fall to 5-3. We'll take a quick break, and we'll have the Guac Shop postgame show when we return right here. You're watching this Nassau Conference 2 showdown presented by Orland and Cohen on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Welcome back to Warren King Field. It is the Guac Shop post-game show, and it's Garden City with a 28-0 win over New Hyde Park. The Trojans improved to 8-0, and you mentioned before, too, extending their winning streak. And they had a battle here today against a tough New Hyde Park team, but ultimately it was Garden City who were victorious. We'll send it down to the field now, where our John Perez has the victorious Trojans.
All right, guys, it's a shutout victory for Garden City. They complete the perfect season. I'm here with our player of the game, RJ Vitruba. And RJ, you had basically the game ender over there, making it 21-0. What can you say about the offense's performance today?
Slow start, but we started pushing through the line and we broke one, which was nice to end the game.
And, New Hyde Park, good offensive team. Defense stepped up as well.
They hit hard all game. Everyone in the backfield knew that. Everyone on the O-line knew they hit hard, so it was tough.
A lot of these games, they start at 2 o'clock. You're probably missing some lunch. You're working hard. A little famished after this victory?
I get breakfast at 7:30 a.m. and I don't eat anything until like 6, so yeah, I'm pretty hungry.
All right, so there's a pretty good offer out there for this hungry Garden City team. I'll give it to Joe from Guac Shop.
So after Garden City's big win today, they have received a free team dinner for all you guys over there. That's right. That's right. And you can do that at our Once location, $10.99 a person, but these guys got it absolutely free.
Not too bad, guys. We'll send it back upstairs.
And you get the feeling, Mike, thanks, John. You get the feeling, Mike, a lot of these guys, they're watching these post-game shows, and they're kind of wondering, like, when is it our turn? When do we get the Guac Shop? Right? Garden City's had to wait till week 8. But now they've got the free meal from Guac Shop.
Very cool, Guac Shop. Great job. Great supporters of athletics in Nassau County, Suffolk County, and Long Island. Good for them, and we appreciate their interest and their involvement. You see their locations.
Yeah, I think we know where these guys are going. It's the Garden City location. They've also got locations in Jericho, Wantagh, Freeport, and New Hyde Park. So New Hyde Park, had they won, they would have had their own Guac Shop experience. It's guacshopmexicangrill.com.
Not too often do we get the two teams that play both have a Guac Shop in their town.
We could have called it the Guac Shop Bowl. Right? And a little play on words, the bowl, right?
Yep. Yes. Good looking food right there, though, on the left. I like that.
Yeah, we got to hit a little Google Maps, figure out that Garden City location, maybe hit that in the post game. But congratulations to Garden City. Again, thank Guac Shop and Orland and Cohen, our sponsors here today. And Mike Hungerford, the regular season is over. It is time for the playoffs in Nassau County, in Suffolk County, in the Catholic High School Football League. And as of right now, we don't have games to announce because we don't know who's playing yet, right? We got to figure out the matchups. But listen, if you follow us on our social media handles, if you subscribe to us here on our YouTube channel, there's all the ways you can do so. Those answers will be coming in short order. I can guarantee you we will be somewhere next weekend to bring you some exciting high school football, playoff football on Long Island.
Can't wait, Dylan, because when the playoffs come, everybody plays a little harder, right? It's all amped up a little bit because if you lose, unfortunately, you go inside and you probably have equipment down in the basement. And for most of the kids playing, they're not going to play football at the next level. They're not going to play college football. It's kind of that way everywhere in America. The 1%ers play college football. Everyone kind of doesn't, and it makes it a special game. And guys will fight like heck not to hand in their stuff next week. It'll be pretty cool.
So that'll do it here from Garden City. Again, your final score. The Trojans with a 28-0 win. Want to thank our entire Varsity Media crew. Of course, our executive producer, Ben Turchin, our technical director, Chris Sweeney, for Angelo Caiezo and Ron Pierre, bringing you all the moving images. Sideline reports from John Perez and my broadcast partner, Mike Hungerford. I'm Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us from Warren King Field. And we look forward to seeing you next time in the playoffs, right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.